Good evening, everyone. We will now commence the meeting of the City Council Subcommittee on Conference to be held Wednesday, April 27th at 6 p.m. This meeting is to discuss the eligible criteria for Bunker Hill Scholarship. Officials invited to attend subcommittee meeting, all honorable members of the Chelsea City Council. City Manager Tom Ambrosino, Superintendent Dr. Almi Almeida, and all members of the public. At this time, the clerk call a roll.
Councilor Recupero, Councilor Teneri Garcia, Councilor Robinson. Here. Councilor Taylor. Here. Councilor Lopez, Councilor Vega Maldonado, Councilor Avellaneda. Here. Councilor Brown, Councilor Vido. Present. Councilor De Jesus, and Councilor Judy Garcia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members.
Okay, we have 5 members present, and I see we have in the audience our City Manager, Tom Ambrosino, and our Superintendent, Dr. Almi Almeida. Prior to opening the floor and giving this to the counselor who asked for this meeting, I'm going to read the 2 communications that were sent to us in response to questions about the scholarship program. I have a letter from the Superintendent, Dr. Almi Almeida, dated February 22nd. Dear Mr. Ambrosino, the Bunker Hill Scholarship Program in Chelsea is a game changer for many of our Chelsea graduates, and we'd like to advocate for its continued in its 5th year. The scholarship continues to open doorways of opportunity for our graduates encounter systemic challenges. For example, one student wrote in a thank you letter most recently, I had no other way to continue my education if I didn't have this help. To achieve this with a part-time job that I have, I would need many years to save all the money because I also have to help my mother pay for the most basic things like electricity and water in the house. This scholarship is helping me study psychology and is a blessing. I'm so grateful for this scholarship. Scholarship program has been very successful and continues to change lives. 27 students from the class of 2018 leveraged the funding to further their education at the Bunker Hill Community College. This number grew in the class of 2019 to 40 students. Despite the pandemic, the class of 2020 had 16 students participate in the Bunker Hill Scholarship Program, and the class of 2021 had 31 students participate for the first time. Additionally, many students transferred to 4-year colleges. To date, $658,000 in tuition has been paid on behalf of the students. Students, their families, and the community at large are very grateful for this investment in our students' futures. Along with that is a yearly count. We have the year 2019, $250,000, 225 contribution. The aforementioned number of that amount of 225, $188,000 roughly was used. Amount dispersed was $180,000, and amount of rollover was $103,000. 2020, the city contribution was lowered to $191,250. 16 students participated. Amount awarded was $244,000. Amount dispersed was $194,000, and the amount remaining was $100,250. In 2021, $211,000 was and $750 was given by the city. Of that, $325,500 was awarded. Dispersed was $170,000, and $164,000 remained. In the class of 2022, 35 students are eligible for the Bunker Hill Community Program. 10 of these would be eligible for $500 awards, and 25 of these would be eligible for $7,000 awards, depending on the amount of federal aid to which each student is eligible. Which student is available. If all eligible students were given an award, the total cost will include $180,000. In addition, to continue to support the 20 students participating this year, an additional $81,500 would be required. We'll also include it to continue funding for the class 2020 because it is important to support students whose progress has been impacted by the pandemic. Thus, we ask for $51,000. The total, $147,750, would be needed for all eligible students decided to attend Bunker Hill Community College and were offered a scholarship As seen below, $164,750 remains in the account. Thus, the new funding required equals $147,750. This additional year of funding for students is crucial, as most certificates and degrees require 2 years to complete. One of our graduates from the class of 2019 described their experience as follows. This is my second year at Bunker Hill Community College. The City of Chelsea Scholarship was given to me the opportunity to continue my education as I faced some financial challenges. It is important for me to further my education because I want to use the experiences and knowledge that I gain in college to make a positive impact on my community. As you can see, the Bunker Hill Community College is changing lives and making post-secondary education a reality for Chelsea students. Thank you for investing in the students' lives and consideration for continue this funding. Sincerely, Dr. Almi Albeida. The next communication, again dated on February 22nd, again is from Dr. Almi Albeida, and this is directly to the City Council. I'll summarize, include some of the very same things that was included in the letter to the city manager. However, it does state the background that it is built. The Chelsea Public Schools has built one of the largest early college high schools in the state, and this investment has proven significantly to increase college completion. Early college is a unique opportunity to improve the students' college and career prospects and completing more rigorous coursework while in high school. Since 2018, the City of Chelsea has partnered with Bunker Hill Community College on a scholarship to provide free associate's degrees to Chelsea High students. It goes on to state the criteria for the program. Students who participate in this program are eligible for the scholarship. 1, Chelsea High students must complete three Bunker Hill community courses successfully with a C or better coursework in Bunker Hill Community Foundational Classes, or ELL, ELA cluster. It can be applied towards the 3 clusters. The Bunker Hill Community College statistics offer courses offered during the school day at Chelsea High can also be applied for those 3 courses as a student earned 70% or better. 2, the student must attend Bunker Hill Community College either part-time with a minimum of 6 credits or full-time with a maximum of 15 credits with the intention of working towards a certificate or associate's degree. Students must be Chelsea High graduates, class of 2020 or class of 21. Students must be Chelsea residents for the duration of the scholarship while attending college at Bunker Hill Community College. Eligibility requirements: they must attend either part-time or full-time. Again, it's repeating the previous. Students must be Chelsea residents for the duration and provide 2 forms of verification to prove residency. Acceptable forms can be a recent utility bill, a lease from a rental property, a voter registration card, recent health insurance letter, or official mail with the Chelsea address. Students must also remain in good academic standing at Bunker Hill Community College. Again, this scholarship meets the difference between federal funding and student costs. That includes tuition and fees. If the student is not eligible for federal aid, then a higher amount of money is applied to cover the differential in costs. Other than that, the criteria are the same for every student. Funding is limited. If more students are eligible, then there is funding. A personal statement describing financial need and future aspirations can be used to make the final determinations. Again, in conclusion, I ask you to contact me for more information. Thank you sincerely, Dr. Almi Albeida. With that being read into the record, I'll now turn over the floor to the maker of the motion who inquired about this originally. Councilor Recupero, you have the floor.
Good evening. This is a great program that helps the students of our city. When we first started, it was a good thing, and it's still a good thing. I only have a few questions. couple of questions maybe you can clarify for me. One, how many of these students have actually finished Bunker Hill? They actually went and did a 2-year program. What is the total amount that you have? Well, wait, I'll ask you the other question, then you can answer one. All right, the next one is, how do you go and determine who gets these? I can see here, some ways it's you apply and you do. I understand all that. But what happens to the kids that it might not be the greatest of students? They just have medium. They're not that great. Let's say, but yet, when a lot of times what happens, children after high school become better people because they're true fooling around. So anybody that graduates Chelsea High should be able to go, even though you have strict requirements. I understand that you could turn around and say, oh, well, why should we invest on someone that's not willing to invest in himself while he's in school? Things change in life. You know, if I'm a taxpayer, and I am a taxpayer, and I give you some money, if one of my children wasn't the greatest a student, I would like him to have an opportunity. But, so I want to know exactly how you come. I can read what you send here. What I want to know is what happens to there you have something, if you're on probation, you can't go. Whatever it is. I understand all that. So in other words, what do we do for the children or the young men and women that don't meet your standard? They want to go. Do we have anything to help them? Because from here, I don't think we do. You have to. It happened to my grandson. He couldn't even go there because he had a 1-point-something GPA because he was in the REACH program. He didn't qualify. He's going to Bunker Hill now. He got to go to college, he had to pay himself. But he only graduated high school 2019. Before the pandemic, he graduated and he wasn't eligible to go to this program. His mother pays taxes, I pay taxes. He didn't meet your standard. But yet he's in college, he's in Bunker Hill now. That's the issue that I have. That's the issue I have. He is going to Bunker Hill right now. You know who he is, Alex. My grandson, Alex. He couldn't go by your standard. So, I don't know if you implemented him. I don't think you did. I think the lady that implemented him before you was Mary C. Burke. She had those standards. You had nothing to do with that, so I can't say you did it because you have nothing to do with it. But more or less, he got left out because he wasn't a program that Leo's wife used to run. He wasn't a REACH program. He wasn't smart enough to go to that program, according to the standard of the school. So what happens to children like him? That's what my whole question is. What happens to these children? He's a grown man now, and he goes to college, and he has to get a student loan. But he couldn't go to that program because, one, he didn't have the GPA to go to that. So this is the question that arises. I know that in society we reward the ones that work hard, the ones that have the brains, but all of us are not the brainiest people. And when you get out of high school, sometimes you change your way. You grow up, and you want to do better. So if anybody goes to Chelsea High and graduates high school, I think he's capable enough to go. And, I don't see why we can't have a program where it even puts those people in there. They should be part of it. If their parents are contributing the taxes for them to go to school, so in other words, they're contributing for some kid that has, excuse my language, some young man and woman that's capable to go, but yet his kid, he's capable, but he's not capable. He can't go. That's the whole issue I have with this. This is a great program. It's the greatest thing there is to help all the kids go. But I want it to be fair. I wanted everybody to have an opportunity if they wish to do so. That's my whole intent is to have everybody have an opportunity if they wish to do so. That's it. Maybe we need to review and go back and change the way we operate. That is all. I have the highest respect for the teachers and everybody that does this because the children is the future. My generation is past. These generations is the one that's going to make it better for others. So we should always reward the greatest, because sometimes some of the greatest are not the greatest. So we should make it fair. That's all I'm asking, is for fairness.
I think that was a very loaded question, so I think to the superintendent, if I may, summarize. So the counselor has, real quick, it seems that the counselor has brought up an example of who does not qualify for this, and is there any way that you can find to adapt, changes, amend, and if that was to come pass, how would that program work if it's possible?
Good evening. So you make a really good point, because kids develop at different stages in life. I can say that for my own daughter as well. So I do hear what you're saying, and I do believe that kids oftentimes mature later. So I think it's something that we need to think about. And maybe it's not this scholarship, maybe we create something else for students who want to go to college or Bunker Hill Community College in the city, and we have a pot or some funding there. So I think that's something that we should consider and look into, because kids, kids are immature in high school oftentimes, and they don't mature until later. So I think you bring up a wonderful point, and it's something that we should actually really think about, and I'd be willing to think about that with you. To answer your second question, I have to verify with Bunker Hill Community College, but right now, 64 students out of the 114 have graduated right now, and it's about a 56% completion rate.
So here, okay. So you say out of those young men and women that went, 56% finished, and the other ones didn't.
There are still some in that over the years, because it's
So more or less, if you have 10 young men and women that go there, right? It's a basic, simple question. Do they all finish, or do some of them give up?
Some of them do not finish.
Oh, okay. See, that's the question. You answered partly my question. Those kids were supposed to be the top of the line, and yet they didn't finish. But a kid that's not the top of the line doesn't have the opportunity, because one of the arguments they're going to make is a simple one. Well, what should we invest in that one? He didn't try hard enough. We invested on some that tried hard enough, but yet they didn't finish. So how do you judge? That's a very, very thin line. You answered part of my question. Part of it is that everybody that went there, even though they had all the standards, didn't finish. And someone that might have had the standard wasn't able to go because he didn't qualify. That is an issue for you to determine, and whoever decides how you operate. Maybe you can have a little bit leadway where it's possible, because right from what you just said, all of them didn't finish.
So,
Okay, sorry.
if I can add, something that I'm working on with Bunker Hill Community College right now is creating more of a cohort for the students when they go to the college, so they have more supports, because what we find is they go off to college and they don't have the supports that they had at the high school. And so therefore, any student that goes even to a four-year college, some of our students don't finish. So I'm really trying to think about how do we ensure that once our kids get to college, that they stay in college and they graduate. So I'm working with Bunker Hill Community College right now to create a position, and they're going to fund it, where we can really wrap around our kids and provide advisory and counseling to them, so that more our students that are there stay there and graduate. Because what we're finding is that when our students graduate with their associates, they do eventually move on to, most of them will turn over and move to a four-year college. So it opens the doors, because they build the confidence and they realize, wow, I got my associates. Now I can transfer over to a four-year college and get my bachelor's.
Councilor Vidal?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to touch on something that Councilor Recupero, I may have misheard him, but Is there anything about a child that's on probation not being able to qualify for a scholarship?
Says it right there.
Does it? I don't.
Yeah, it's in the criteria. And I'll be honest, this is the criteria that has been in place for 5 years. And so we have not.
Not court probation.
Academic probation.
Academic, yes.
Probation.
Oh, okay.
At
Thank you.
Bunker Hill.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so
Got it.
someone coming back to us for their second year
Okay.
can't be on academic.
But they can have an open case, open criminal case.
Yeah, we don't ask them about
We
their
don't ask
criminal
them.
background.
Beautiful. That's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure.
Fine.
I just wanted to make sure. The other thing I wanted to ask was, here at City Council, we are consistently getting waivers for people that we hire that don't meet the requirements. Is there anything in place with the city and the schools where not everyone's going to go to Bunker Hill, but if they are going to go, maybe they can take a course or something that can give them the skills required so that we can hire them here instead of hiring people from outside of the city? And I'm just wondering if there's anything cohesive, anything in the works, anything at all that can potentially support some of our young people, even coming to become firemen or policemen, or just to be able to get involved in the city. Investing in our children. If we're going to invest in our children, let's at least reap the fruits of that labor.
So it's an interesting point. I mean, we don't really, maybe the school department has some list of the kids and some contact information for the kids to whom we're giving these scholarships. And when we have entry-level positions at City Hall, we could send that to the school department. They could push it out to these kids. I mean, so we do that, for example, when we have entry-level positions here, we always push those job openings out to various nonprofits like the Roca Young Mothers Group and other nonprofits in the city to say, we have this opening, it's an entry-level position. Those positions typically have very low barriers to entry here. And so we could add this cohort of Chelsea High students who are getting a scholarship. I can send it to Dr. Abeda, as long as she has contact information for those people. We don't keep that here in the city, but if she did, I'd be glad to have those kind of jobs get pushed out. And, those do come up fairly, not regularly, but periodically. They
Yeah,
do.
I'd like to see a little bit more of an organized effort in trying to prepare the kids to be public servants, get involved in our community. But that's all I had. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Let me just add one thing to that, just following up on Councilor Cooper. From the city's perspective, if the school department were going to relax its standard in some way, allow other opportunities for kids who haven't quite met the 3-course requirement that they have, but have some method for allowing someone who didn't to sort of apply, or the city doesn't really have a position on that. We've created this scholarship in order to get Chelsea High graduates to get an associate's degree without a cost. We left it to the school department. Now, in fairness to Dr. Beda, she wasn't the one that crafted the original eligibility requirements in the first place. But the city would not have objection. Our goal is to encourage Chelsea High graduates to get degrees, and if they otherwise can't afford it, we want to give them the opportunity at the very least to secure at least an associate's degree at Bunker Hill. It may be that you would have to appropriate a little bit more money in those circumstances. I certainly would have no qualms about doing that. So Dr. Abeda has agreed to look at this. I'm going to leave it to her to do that.
To what Councilor Recupero said, I was a late bloomer. I didn't get my stuff together till my late 20s. I didn't graduate. I have a GED, so I understand, and I know his grandson, and he's a great kid. It would be nice if, granted, we want to invest in the students that we feel we're going to get a bang for our buck, and they're going to finish the course, but what if we set aside just 5% of those funds, or we were to pick one kid that maybe doesn't fit the threshold, maybe is failing academically, but maybe if they get a couple of letters from the city or get reference letters, we're willing to invest in them, even if it's just one kid, because it could really make a difference for someone like me or someone like Alex, who otherwise wouldn't have that opportunity.
So I will commit you that next year, when we get the list, we will add a small percentage for some additional students. I would say that even this year, chances are there'll be a little money left over. It seems that we have never spent all the money we've appropriated in any of these years because kids decide they don't want to go, they drop out, whatever the case. So I will leave that to Dr. Abeyta to figure out.
I also want to say that I think the program's amazing, and I know a bunch of kids that have had opportunities to go to Bunker Hill, and so, I know that if you come here, we ask these questions, and it's kind of like a tense situation, but you guys are all doing great work, and I just want to make sure to name that.
Can I talk? Do I have to ask you, can I?
You can have closing remarks.
All right, can I? All right. I only want to say thank you for the job you do and the job you will do. And we will thank, and the children that might not qualify, if you decide to add some for them, will be a great thing. You at least try to make it equal for all. That's all it is try to make it equal for all. Because in life, we never know. The worst could be the best, and the best could be the worst. So why not someone try? And like the city manager says, why not put some aside for certain students like that? That would be a great thing, and it will be very well appreciated by the students that get to go there, and by me, and me, all of us. Because I think the investment that you make in our children is the investment in our future. So that's a good investment, and I'm willing to, if I have to put more money, why not? There'll be a good cause. For something like that, it's worth giving money. We give money to a lot of causes, they ain't worth it. Why not give it to the one that's worth it? Thank you.
With that, we will close this portion of our meeting and move on to the next portion of our meeting.
Don't we have to recess?
What's up?
It's published as starting at 7, the next subcommittee.
Oh, did it?
meeting.
I'm sorry. I
7,
didn't.
7.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was 7:30. Okay. If that's the case, then we will then close down. I didn't have it in front of me, so it,
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Hold on one second. Let me just see where the call of the meeting is.
Thank you.
That's good. They're gonna put money aside for that.
It should be on there, then, right? Should be on there, both of them. No?
It just looks, this is all the same one. So I see here, the meeting of the next meeting is going to be at 7 o'clock. So what we'll do is, it's 6:35 now, we'll take a break, and we'll come back at 7 o'clock.